Hi viewers, so welcome to this video. So in this video, I'm going to quickly show you about how to implement a WebSocket server using Ballerina. So Ballerina is a modern programming language that has some cool features and functionalities, and it's a general purpose programming language that can make integration uh, with different systems easy. And it has a bit of an opinionated approach when it comes to its syntax as well as some of its functionalities, such as providing first class support for network aware types and so forth. So I have written this blog post some time ago, and in the same blog post you see some of the links where I recommend why you should learn Ballerina programming language and so forth. And yeah, so let's get started. So in this video, you're gonna look at how to implement a WebSocket service in Ballerina, and I'm gonna show you that how easy it is to do this in Ballerina. I have written and shown uh, how to do the same with Python as well, so that you can do your own exercise when it comes to comparing and contrasting between how Python how you can implement a web service in Python versus how you can do it in Ballerina. So I'm not going to compare between the two languages and give an opinion to you on what uh, language makes it easy to write. Both the languages are great. And you decide on which one to use in your projects later on. And yeah, so let's get started. So in Ballerina, you can import your WebSocket functionalities using import Ballerina WebSocket. So one great good advantage in Ballerina is that you don't need to use any other third-party libraries to bring such functionalities. This one of the functions, one of the cool features that Ballerina has, that you truly have certain batteries included, such as what you normally want these days, right? So when it comes to whether you want to implement an HTTP service or WebSocket or GraphQL, Ballerina has everything inbuilt within its ecosystem already. You don't need a third-party library for to accomplish some of these tasks. Okay, so to implement a WebSocket, you just have to create a service object, and service object has a context, which is the context that your clients will be calling. You can have any context here. For example, you can say slash chat, and it says on new a WebSocket listener port is provided, and then you have this syntax which just says that you are creating a WebSocket service on top of this listener. You can have multiple services created on that listener as well. And then you are creating a new chat service which is implemented in this service class, which can have like many different functions. But when it comes to WebSockets, there are some well-known functions that you need to implement when it comes to initialization, opening a WebSocket connection, closing a WebSocket connection, whenever you get a message, and so forth. There are multiple other things that you can do with here, and I have not explained everything about what Ballerina offers when it comes to WebSockets and so forth. You can find more details about available functions and stuff from Ballerina's documentation, which is very extensive and cool as well, right? So when a WebSocket uh, you know uh, is initiated, and this init function will be called, and of course when a new handshake from a client is done, a WebSocket connection is initiated, on open will be called, and on close will be called when a client leaves the connection. And whenever client sends a message, you get on message, and there are variations of this on message. You have on text message and so forth. Various other forms are available. Whenever an error occurs, you get this on error message as well. So WebSocket, it's not HTTP. The initial connection is always initiated using HTTP and then upgraded to WebSocket, because WebSocket is a totally a different protocol, a TCP-based protocol, which keeps the connection alive for a long time, and which is what makes it a a full duplex protocol, which is much suitable for real-time applications and applications that actually want to send messages back and forth. Without a request response type of protocols like HTTP. So this is much suitable for applications like chat applications, maybe those applications that needs to push data to the client end, such as like let's say a web trading platform where the price details of your stocks get updated. You need to make sure that when you're in the browser, you get those price updates, and you're not requesting that, you're not refreshing your browser, but still it's getting updated. And that's because server is pushing details into the browser, and this can be easily accomplished using WebSockets. So I have written another blog post whether WebSockets is still useful or not, because some of these functionalities are now supported using HTTP2 protocol. In my opinion, WebSocket has still quite a lot of usages, even though HTTP2 supports some of these functionalities, and uh, uh, WebSocket will be around us for a very long time. That's my opinion, but it's good to have knowledge about these technologies as well, right? So in this basically a simple demonstration of a chat service. So I'm gonna show you the demonstration now, and then let's dive into the code. Okay, so to do that, let's first run our application or the backend server. So let me open my command line, and as you can see, there are a lot of other details. So you can run the Ballerina code using bal run. When it runs, you should have the server started. And for the front end, I'm actually using an HTML and a JS file, which I have opened here. So let me just bring it back here. So the backend is already running now. And you see in this simple HTML, I'm bringing in this JavaScript file. And then I have this chat output and an input section. So chat output is just a div, an empty div, you see, which is where we are going to inject any messages here. And chat input is just a text box, text area, where you're getting a message, and then you're having a submit button. And yeah, so submit buttons actions will be captured in the uh, add event listener, and I'm using the WebSocket functionality in JavaScript. I'm connecting to 9876, which is our web service port. Yeah, so when this is connected, it's there. But now it says the send message. Click handler. When you click that thing, what happens is basically you are getting the message text that you have printed, that you just put it in the text box. So let's first demonstrate this and see, then you can easily understand. So let me just right click this and open it in Firefox. As you can see, this is what happens, and it says you haven't done anything yet. It just brought a message down here. And let's also try to open the same in Chrome. Let me bring a new window here. So I'm going to bring a new window here, and let's have this open here. So you see it now says a new user joined, 2 users, and in my Firefox also you have this additional message. Let's also bring in another client, now this time using Microsoft Edge browser. Right, I'm going to have 3 is sufficient, so I'm going to bring it here. Now it says the third user has joined. Okay, so now you see third user has joined here, and in the Firefox you see the third user has joined. Now from here, so let me have all three visible for you to see what's happening. Let's have all three browsers visible so that you can see what's happening around. Okay, like this. So a message is going to be printed here. Hello there. And you see the hello there is printed. It's printed here as well. And a message. Hi, browser buddies. So you get that value printed here and that value printed here. Now see, this is the WebSocket functionality, and you are using a simple a chat application sort of, right? So let's look at the code here and what happens here. And on the front end side, basically when I click this submit button, I'm reading the message value, which is whatever you printed, like hello world or whatever that value is taken in, and put it into this message thing. And I'm creating a JSON, and I'm calling this action as a message, and then message is basically that value, and then I get the message text value, and I clear it, right? And now we have this basically this JSON is sent over WebSocket. So when you say WebSocket send, this on message is going to get called. But before that on message, first of all, whenever you open this connection, so this is going to get called, right? So when that happens, let's see what happens in our backend. So that's when this on open is called. So basically, when you see when a connection is open for a new client is printed, whenever I open this a new window here. So let's also see if that happens. I'm going to create another window here. As you can see, a connection is opened, right? So fine. So when that happens, then I'm using a current user ID, and that current user ID is assigned to this last user ID, which I'm incrementing. Now this last user ID is basically an integer, a global integer, and that is isolated because it's I just want to make sure that the increment happens concurrently. It's in a concurrent, safe manner. For a demonstration like this, it's not that important, but in a production level code, you need to have that in place. Okay, so once you have that, you have the current user ID, which I am now storing in a map. So in Ballerina, you define a map like this. So the key is an integer, and no, the value is an integer. Key is always a string, and then you have a user map, and the client, the caller, which is passed as a parameter, you get the connection ID, and then uh, have a map of that connection ID versus the user ID. Likewise, a connection map is also there. So basically the same connection ID against this particular value is also there. So you see, I have a new map which is of type caller. So I have that value stored here. So that is because I want to make sure that I get that functionality later. And now, because when a new user joined, you get that notification in the other, uh, you know, clients as well. How do you make sure that happens? You basically go through the connection map, whatever the connection that's available until that point. For each of those connections, you get the from the connection ID, you get the caller, which you have stored here, and then you broadcast a message. So for each client, you need to send a message. Basically, this type is sent as users, and count is sent as whatever the current value, which is how this value is getting printed here. And then you are passing, you're just saying it's a new user, and the ID is also passed in, right? And right. So 4 users are there, so that will be taken from the count, and the ID is taken from the value. So then you call the write message. So basically, when this message comes in, you get this on message from on the client side, fired. So, and then you pass the values there, and then you get the event type. And if it's the users type, I find count value is taken in count users. Then if it's a new user, you display this, a new user joined. See, a new user joined. And then in the chat room, the user's ID is taken as the event ID. And if it's not, something else will be printed. So we'll see that. And then we take the text node. We create a new text node, and then on this message object, you create a list of values. So because this, you see a list, in a unordered list, you have a list, and you append that, and then finally you put that into the chat output, which is our due empty message. You keep on adding that, right? So that's basically is what happening. And now let's see when the user sends a message. So in our on connection is on open is clear, on close is also clear. Let's demonstrate that and see. So basically, when you remove a client, what happens? So basically, I'm removing it from the connection map and the user map, and then for each user, I'm sending this user has gone out now. So count, and it's a new user message. No, it's not a new user message. So you come back here. So then it will display here and say user left. If it's not a new user message, it's a user left message. It's a very simple example. So you see what's happening there, and let's see what happens. So when you do this, you immediately get new the user number 4 left, 3 users in the room now. So let's see if that has come here. See, it has come there as well, and in this also it has come there. And whenever you send a new message, what happens on new message? Basically, I'm getting the JSON of that, and the message of that will be taken in. And then if the message, you basically send it to others because it's a chat window. So same functionality is happening. Now in this case, the type is a message. So you go back here, you see this one, it will get fired here. So that's how it gets printed. So this guy saying time up. So let's see. Catch up later. Okay. So it sends that. We'll see. You get that message as well, right? Sorry about that. And this will be left. And this user is leaving. Everyone left. And now you're going back. So this is quite a very simple example, and shows the power of WebSocket. And you can implement WebSockets in all different types of languages. But as you could see here, implementing that in Ballerina is just a breeze in doing that. So I invite you to try out Ballerina and enjoy coding. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in another video post.